Ready? Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Virtual Roundtable on this St. Patty's Day. Today we have a guest speaker from Trailhead, which is, I'll let Raino tell you a little bit about himself and this wonderful jewel that we have at our disposal, our use. And we have questions. I'm going to ask you, as you have questions along the way, go ahead and type them in, and we can address them as we go along. And if we miss them, we will absolutely retouch on them at the end of the virtual roundtable. So thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to turn it over to Raino.
Hello. Thanks, everybody. We have some echoing going on here.
There we go. He's going to turn it off.
All right. Okay.
I just want to make sure that the
broadcast is working. If you can't hear me very well, please chime in, but otherwise I'll assume that my volume is pretty good. So my name is Raino Zoller, and I'm the Executive Director of Trailhead. Trailhead is a startup hub here in Boise, and I'm going to go through a little presentation here, tell a little bit about the history of how we got to where we've gotten, and then answer any questions. Feel free to ask questions anytime during the presentation. I'm happy to take them real time. That's probably sometimes can be more effective. So my background is I've been in a startup community here in Boise for probably the last 20-some years. I moved here originally to work for HP, but after going to grad school in California, I really got the startup bug. I came back to Boise and joined a startup called ProClarity, which was a software company back in the kind of mid-90s. I was there from kind of pre-revenue all the way through when we sold the company to Microsoft. So I really decided that startups and entrepreneurs was what I really enjoyed a lot. After that, I kind of got involved in both angel investing and joined the original Boise Angel Fund, as well as started working with some other startups over the years. So really, when this opportunity came along a little while ago to get involved with what is now called the Trailhead, I just jumped at the opportunity to surround myself with entrepreneurs all day long. So that's kind of a brief history of me. So I'm going to jump right into my slides. And what I'm going to cover today, I'll tell a little about the Trailhead story. How did we get to where we are today? Then go into a little more detail of what is Trailhead, what are we doing, and kind of what do we see as our path to success. Talk a bit about our members that we have and kind of the kinds of companies that are members of our organization. Offer ways for you to get involved. We'd love to get more involvement from all the folks on the phone, especially when you have opportunities to be in Boise. I'm happy to show any of you around or get together and kind of talk about what we're doing and how you might apply some of those things in your areas. And then we'll open it up to questions and answers. Can I close this thing or not really?
Yeah, you can use the orange. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So fundamentally what Trailhead is about is trying to create more successful startups and projects for Boise. So kind of our mantra is we are trying to help start and scale businesses, nonprofits, and other high-impact projects. Our real focus is on organizations that want to scale. So our focus is not the kind of mainstream businesses, but those businesses that really want to have a broader impact than just their local area. I mean, that doesn't mean we don't have members that are more the mainstream business, but that's really not what we focus our programming attention on. It's those organizations that want to scale and be larger than just a local. I want to show a couple pictures of our site. So this is outside. Where we're located is right in central downtown Boise. I'm just right on the edge of Bodo on the corner of 8th and Myrtle. For those of you that have been in Boise, so you cross the street and you're kind of in the heart of downtown. Libraries to our south, Bodo's to our north, and then you keep on going down the main corridor of 8th Street down in Boise, Idaho. And this is just a quick snapshot of what the space looks like inside. So critical to our space is it's one big, wide open space. Everything that all of our furniture, all of our walls were all movable. The idea being is that we're going to continuously move and evolve the space on a day-by-day basis as different needs and different organizations require. This can be done both by us for meetings, but it also is often done by our members when they have a group or a gathering. They kind of reconfigure our furniture and our walls as needed in order to meet their needs for that time period. So I'll tell a little bit about the background of how did Trailhead get started. So it took a few years to go from that initial idea of what was trying to be accomplished to where we are today. So in about 2013, a group of local entrepreneurs approached the mayor, and the problem that they identified was there's a lot of disparate efforts going on in Boise trying to help startups, trying to help entrepreneurship, trying to gather entrepreneurs. But if you're outside of that circle, you really didn't know where you'd connect. If you had a business idea or you wanted to get involved in a startup or an early stage company, it was really unclear what was the best path based on your interest, based on what your stage was, and based on your background. So we had a very kind of scattered effort, and there was really also no central point. So somebody looking from outside of Idaho or outside of Boise could say, what is the startup environment like in Boise? And that was really critical because when I was at Prosperity, when we try to recruit people from outside of the area, a lot of times they say, hey, Boise looks great, Prosperity looks great, but what if that doesn't work out? I've just moved my family there. Do I want to take that risk where I might have to move again if things don't work out with the company that we were at? And I've heard that story even today from Micron all the way down to the small startups. There's not that perceived center of mass of startup or entrepreneurial activity that is very attractive to knowledge workers and to talented individuals that we want to attract to help our companies. So here is just kind of really a map of some of the efforts that were going on at that time. And if you look at all those things, where do you tap in? Where do I get involved? If I'm working out at HP or I'm working at Micron, want to get more involved in startups, what do I do? So in 2014, this group of entrepreneurs then approached the mayor and said, hey, this is our problem. We're continuing to lose people. We've got this brain drain going on, and we really need to address this from the city's perspective, get the city involved to lead this effort. Also realize that this really needed to be a nonprofit because the goal is not to replicate what others were already doing, but to really become that hub of the energy and of the community that can leverage all of the things that were already being done by other organizations. So that's when they brought me on board. It was in the summer of 2014. And we started looking for a space to actually put the trailhead. We believe being centrally located was extremely important, being in that downtown corridor, and being in a space that was attractive in and of itself, so people wanted to be in the space and were attracted to just being part of that energy of that space. So I came on board in middle of 2014, and by the end of the year, we had identified our space. We had staff in place, and we had the relationship with the city and CCDC in place to move forward in signing a lease. So then in 2015, last year, that's when we opened our doors. So March 1st is when we first opened our doors. Our lease started February 1, and we started having a few events. And we mentioned earlier, one of those initial events was iGym. That was our second event that we ever had done. Our first event, we actually brought one of the partners of Andreessen Horowitz, which is one of the biggest venture capital firms in the world. And he came in, we spent a whole day talking to people in Boise. We had a big kickoff startup grind event that evening where we had over 200 people in our first big event. Just people wanted to really see the space, wanted to hear what this prominent venture capitalists had to say about our city, things that we could learn from others that had come before us. By July 1, we were invited to join the Startup Federation. That is a group of other startup hubs throughout the world. There's about 40 or 50 of them. And because of some of the relationship building that the mayor's office had done with that organization, we're invited to join. What that means is as our members travel the world, any place there's one of these federation members, we use their co-working space and their programming for free. And to give you an indication of how valuable that is, we charge our members in Boise $35 a month to be a member. Many of these places pay $30 to $50 a day for drop-in fees. So very quickly it becomes and you tap into that community, you get to meet those resources, and it's a pretty great honor that we were involved so early. We passed, on September 1, we passed our 100-member mark. Today we're at about 240 members, and we continue to grow that. So this was our first piece of press that we got in the newspaper. As you can see, it says, in this together, I think Mark's Trailhead and an unusual business help center. So that was kind of their first attempt to define what we were trying to do at Trailhead. So, and then that brings us today where again, we have 240 members. We were delivering a lot of different programming. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But fundamentally, what we're trying to do is create a virtuous cycle here in Boise where, again, looking at this this diagram is there's a lot of ideas and opportunities that people are identifying in our community, whether you're working at a big company, whether you're working in government, whether you're coming out of the university. Those ideas, we provide an environment where those ideas can germinate, can get connected to resources that can help them succeed. And out of those ideas, we're going to get more new ventures in our community. Over time, some of those new ventures are going to turn into new businesses. Those businesses will grow and attract talent. One of the things, if you look at ProClarity as an example again, there's 5 or 6 companies today in Boise that were founded and are now growing that came out of ProClarity employees that got that early experience, got to learn how startups work, got to learn from our successes and our failures, and now there's another handful of companies that were spun out of there. The same thing happened with Extended Systems, the same thing happened with HP, starting to happen with Cradlepoint. So that's the whole virtual cycle is people that are in those startup environments are often people that are going to start the next generation of companies. So we're really kind of just helping create that virtuous cycle through our efforts and through the efforts of all of the other organizations in our community that are providing services. So what is the Trailhead? Or what is Trailhead? Number one is we're a co-working space. What that means is when you come into our offices any day, you can plunk down, you can work. We've got high-speed internet. We got fiber, gigabit fiber that we're providing to our members. We have coffee. We have internet. We have meeting rooms. We have tables. So you can come in and work. And what that really does is rather than go to a coffee shop where you're surrounded by a lot of people, but not necessarily people that are doing startups, most people around you are interested in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. They can help you, connect you, work with you on your project. We're workshops. So another big part of what we do is provide educational offerings for our entrepreneurs. There's a whole broad range of offerings, whether it's around raising money, developing products, building a marketing plan, hiring and building a culture, a whole range of offerings that we provide on a regular basis. We probably have on an average month about 20 different offerings that we have for our members to tap into. This is actually one of them that was taught early on by Boise State Venture College. So of the content that we provide, a majority of it is by other organizations that have that expertise or individuals. Our job is really to curate that and bring it in and then identify the needs of our members and try to find expertise that can help fill those needs. We're also about events. So again, that's one of the ways that we bring together our community and get others to have an opportunity to learn more about it is through all these different meetup opportunities and events that bring in prominent speakers both from our own community and from beyond that are going to help educate and inform our broader community on lessons learned on building businesses in different forms. We had a gentleman a week ago who has a local company that sells basically email marketing services for bloggers. Mm-hmm. And his company in the last year has grown from about $2,000 or $3,000 a month of revenue to over $100,000 a month in revenue. Wow. So very, very impressive company. And he basically was very transparent. That, hey, here's the things that we struggled with. Here's what we learned. Here's what we do different next time. And had a chance where about 30 or 40 people got to hear that, build some relationships, and then just kind of glean some insights that will help them on their path. So trying to bring forth people that have either successes or failures and helped our other entrepreneurs to learn from some of those experiences that people have had. Okay. And then finally, collaboration. If you walk into the Trailhead, you'll often see these groups gathering, talking to each other, helping each other, sharing ideas or getting feedback on ideas from each other. And one of the great things that we're starting to see more and more of is companies are being formed by Trailhead members. So you might have 1 or 2 founders that are members. All of a sudden, they're talking to a guy who's a developer. First starts out helping the company with some projects. Next thing you know, they're an employee and they're helping that company move forward. Or they find a marketing person that's, hey, let me help you with your first marketing plan. A month later, they're joining the team. Why that's so important is one of the biggest risks of a startup is finding those early employees, because we had one of our sessions where we're watching some videos from a Stanford course on starting startups, and they're bringing in people from that community that have a lot of expertise. The main point, one of the main points in our last session we were talking about was a bad early hire can kill a company. If you bring in someone who becomes a negative versus a positive, that can bury an early stage company where you really can't afford to make bad hiring mistakes. What happens in the Trailhead environment is you have an extended interview period where people are working together first on a project basis and then building that trust and that relationship. And then okay, and then sorry about the interruption. And then as they build that trust and they get to work together and see if their work styles match, then they're able to actually take that next step and become employees and start working together in a more in-depth level without that risk of having to make a decision after a 30-minute or 1-hour interview. So building those longer-term relationships slowly and letting them gestate is a huge value add to our members.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt for a moment and remind everyone, if you have a question, please type it in. We can see it and we can answer those as we go.
Rhino, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have resources like an incubator would have with like overhead, it cuts down on overhead for people attending a trailhead, like fax machines, copy machines, those types of things in a regular business setting?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically we have kind of all of the basic office supplies like that.
Consultation.
Yeah, and then we have, I'll get to this in a little more detail, but then we provide, we have lawyers, CFOs, accountants, marketing people that provide their service, kind of entry-level services free. We call them office hours. So, for example, we have lawyers that'll come there, and you have 30 minutes free with a lawyer. Talk about anything you want to do about your business, whether that's intellectual property, whether that's about company formation, partnership agreements, intellectual property protection. So yes, we have lots of those. There's probably 2 to 3 of those a week. And then both myself and Jeff Reynolds, who's our engagement director, will have those on a regular basis. So we have constant opportunities to tap into different levels of expertise. And we have what's been great for our community. We have more and more people reaching out saying, "Hey, I want to give back. I want to get involved." And then we'll schedule these office hours. So, for example, one of our founders is Jason Crawford, and he's done a lot of work with mobile app development. We have companies developing mobile apps. They get to spend 30 minutes with him and say, "Hey, here's what I'm doing. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How should I think about my business plan?" So a lot of opportunities. That's absolutely one of the key things that we add.
I have a question too. Does the Small Business Association or the Small Business Development Center, do they interact with, because oftentimes we get asked by businesses are saying, I want to start up in Boise, but and what they've been used to before is the Small Business Association. Or have you had anything interactions with them?
Yeah, we've been trying to work. We've talked with both of them. We've been working more with SBDC on a regular basis, trying to figure out how do we collaborate. In general, they primarily service those mainstream businesses. That's kind of their bread and butter. They're looking at actually improving and kind of relaunching the greenhouse downtown. That model there is kind of more of an immersive, where you pay rent, you're there, and there's a more intimate counselor type relationship. So I think for some companies that's probably a better fit. We're more of an on-demand so far, where what we do is here's a service we provide, and it's based on talking with our members and listening to our members. But it's your choice where you want to tap in. If you want to tap into none of it and just use our office, that's great. If you want to come in and utilize some of our speakers or our workshops, great. So we provide kind of an a la carte, curated menu of opportunities, whereas there's more of a formal program at SBDC where you're going to meet a counselor every week. You're going to take these steps. So again, for different companies, some work better than others.
Great. Yeah. Great.
Other questions? So then again, meeting space is another key part of what we provide, both to our members and to the broader community. Because again, one of the things you want to do is you want to be able to gather groups and kind of either talk about big issues or just kind of get your team together. We have a fair number of our companies where they don't have a formal office, or they do, it's very small. So when they get their extended team together, they come meet at the Trailhead. And we also have groups like White Cloud has a group of people building the Hack4 application. They come to the Trailhead every week and work on that app together because they're all kind of scattered up through the rest of the week. We also have people like Pat Sewell, who is the founder of Cradle Point. He's got a small office at Oahe, but he also come work at Trailhead sometimes because they want to be around that energy and the other entrepreneurs in the community. So he said he actually joined. I mean, we brought him in as kind of as a mentor a couple times, but his team wanted to hang out there. So great. So they come there sometimes, or their office sometimes, and it's great to have him in our circle. Of course, coffee. I mean, coffee we kind of consider the fluid of revolution.
Like run of business, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we have gourmet coffee on draft. We have cold brew in the summer. We've got pour overs all year long. So so if you like coffee, we've got some of the best in town. Okay, so this is just some highlights from our first year. So we have 240 members joined the Startup Federation, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. We've already connected dozens of our members with networks and mentors. So as these companies need help, I mean, still a very manual process as they meet myself or Jeff or others. They'll say, hey, I really need someone with expertise in manufacturing. So we might hook them up with Karen Meyer or some other folks that are helping in manufacturing. Or I want to understand how to build a software or a pricing model for my software service. How might I think about that? So we'll hook them up with that resource. So it's a manual process, but I think it's very valuable. And what's been great, or I need help on my sales process. What's been great again is having that feedback from the community and that support from the community, people wanting to help our companies, and kind of giving back to the next generation of startups. And we also have several companies that have raised capital already out of our network. Most prominent is Prescriptive, if you've heard of those guys. They're a healthcare analytics company. They've actually raised money both from local angels and also from a Salt Lake City venture capital firm that put in some money. So some great success stories there. Programming and over 150 events, over 6,000 people over the last year. So you can see we've got something going on almost every day, which is really fun. So if you walk into our space, we got a calendar on the wall. You can see what goes on. We have a newsletter, so if you want to kind of keep track of our events, go sign up for a newsletter.
Can you track those events online or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to our website, we have events tab, which is if you want to be informed, to sign up for a newsletter. We post it all on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and what's been interesting again statistically is right now Instagram is by far our fastest growing channel of communication. We started that late, probably about 6 months ago. We've already have 1,600 followers.
Wow.
So it means hang on the chart here. I'll show you the curve, but it's just surpassed everything else, which has been kind of a surprise for us. Again, Challenge Cup. We had an event called Challenge Cup, which is a worldwide competition for startups. And one of our companies, we sent our 20 companies competed locally. We had about almost 40 that applied. We sent our best three, or top three, to California and San Francisco for the regional competition. They sent their top 5 to the finals that are in Washington, D.C. And one of our companies was sent to D.C. So at an aggregate, over 1,000 companies worldwide competed. The top 40 are going to the finals, and we have one company representing Idaho, which is real exciting for us. And then one of our community outreach things is on first Thursday, we try to introduce innovation to our broader community. So we brought in things like 3D printing, virtual reality. We have maker spaces that we do about every couple months. So that's a way for us to kind of highlight some of our innovation in our community to more of the general public. And those are great events because you have really good turnout for those and kind of provide that on a regular basis. And then finally, we are having an impact on attracting talent. We've had 3 or 4 out-of-state startups that have planted their flag in Idaho at Trailhead until they had enough size and critical mass to go get their own office space. So that's been another way that we contributed. Paylocity, which you guys I'm sure are all aware of, they were at Trailhead probably 3 or 4 times during their evaluation process. Wanted to start at Trailhead, but we said we can't handle your number of people that you have. But really, I mean, and they even stated that was one of the factors that was very important for them was seeing that Boise had a place like Trailhead, which kind of was that center of mass and nucleus for that whole entrepreneurial tech community. So this is just a chart that kind of shows the programs. That's how we categorize our programming: community engagement, venture development, which is helping ventures actually form and accelerate, culture, kind of creating that startup culture, expertise access, providing access to people with expertise that's relevant to you, and then finally skill development, which is how people develop the skills needed to be successful as an entrepreneur. So you can see, I mean, the number of programs continues to ramp over to the right. And then here's our attendance numbers. I mean, again, the biggest number is that community engagement, just because that's a lot of people at once. But again, even in some of the other lower ones, you definitely have an increasing number of people that are are getting value out of what we're providing. And there's the social outreach. That line that kind of is skyrocketing from the bottom to the top, that's Instagram. But we find Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook is where most of our members keep track of what's going on at the Trailhead. We do have a newsletter which kind of highlights some of the key events that are happening every week, so I encourage you guys all to sign up for that. And this is some of our members. It's kind of a broad brushstroke, and we've got, Jimmy Hoddebert was one of our early members, Boise Bicycle Project. We've got a hardware company in the middle, Ion VR. They actually recently announced a partnership with Intel. They're one part of Intel's initial development program for some of their new virtual reality technologies. They won an innovation award at CES, which is a large computer electronics show that happens in Vegas. We've got some other entrepreneurs doing various things in very different industries. So it's kind of just put some faces of some of our members' names. And then here's how we kind of look at the skill building, kind of what we're building at from a kind of a macro level is. It all starts with co-working, getting people in the same space at the same time. That creates the collisions, that creates the relationships, that creates the opportunities. And then we start building on the capabilities and skill sets. From there, we're connecting them to resources that can take them to the next level, whether that's new customers, investors, expertise of different sorts. And then finally, creating a catalyst to help them when they're ready to launch, giving them that kind of forcing function to help them go to that next level. And as they go up that pyramid, their engagement and ours both increase. So, I mean, we expect more time out of them committed, and then we also commit more time of ourselves and our networks to helping them move through those stages. One of the other important things of this, too, is that we do have quite a few seasoned entrepreneurs within our mix that are helping. We have people like Bob Locken from White Cloud that comes in and helps. Pat Sewell I mentioned, Pete Gomberg from Ballyhoo. So it's great to see these people that have been there, done that, helping our next generation to grow. And then this is just some examples of the kinds of classes and workshops and community outreach that we do. So you can see it's quite a broad range. I won't go through all the details of these, but you can see we're constantly doing a lot of different activities of different sorts that you can connect into. Any questions on that so far? So, yeah, we're pretty busy. Yeah, one of the great things that we were fortunate is my cohort that's really driving a lot of the programming. He's a graduate of the Y Combinator Accelerator, which is the most successful accelerator in the world. I think there are companies, I forgot the number, but the net worth of the companies that have gone through their accelerator is like in the tens of billions of dollars. It's companies like Airbnb and some of that ilk of companies are kind of all graduates out of that same program.
Well, we have one question. Have you facilitated startup capitalization within Trailhead?
Yeah, what we're doing, I assume what you mean by that is helping provide funding. We do a number of things. Trailhead does not provide funding ourselves, but what we've done is we've connected our entrepreneurs, number one, with angel investors and venture capitalists to get advice and mentoring. So we have Epic Ventures from Salt Lake City has come several times. B Partners, which is a venture capital firm out of Silicon Valley, has come several times. We have members of the Boise Angel Funds that come in and provide mentoring, as well as other angel investors from the community. One of the things that I've observed being part of that community is it's a lot easier to raise money for somebody that you've known for a while that's been able to track your progress, understands how you work, than a cold relationship. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we're trying to do is have those meetings happen early from a mentoring perspective, and then those relationships develop. So long before you're asking them for money, if they've already watched you, they've tracked your progress, and often then when you approach those folks for equity or capital, it's a lot easier to get to that yes if they've been observing you for 6 months, see the progress that you're making, believe that you are the kind of entrepreneur that they want to back, rather than say, hey, here I have this great idea, give me some money. Those don't work very well.
Oh, they're tracking. Right. They're probably ready before you even ask.
You're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, often the ones that get funded fast is you're kind of waiting for them to ask for money. Yeah. Yes, because I've been talking. I've talked to quite a few of these venture capitalists, and a lot of them will tell you that the average time they've known an entrepreneur before they invest is usually over a year. Mm-hmm. So they're not just like meeting you and here's your check. It's like, oh, so what's great is a lot of these venture capital firms are coming to Boise. We're introducing to some of our startups that are kind of, we believe, are on that track. They're getting to know them long before they're asking for a check. So they're saying, yeah, bring some angel capital, might need a VC round in 6 to 12 months. That's when you want to make the introductions, not, hey, these guys need money tomorrow, they're going out of business. That doesn't work very well. Right. So yeah, so we're facilitating it, we're not actually doing it ourselves. So this is, I wanted to kind of highlight, this is our first kind of fully curated set of programs that we're developing at Trailhead. As we've worked in the market, as we've identified where we believe the gaps are, we've created this 3-part series that kind of helps entrepreneurs and we believe is a gap. So what we've seen is at the early ideation phase, there's a lot of great programs for that already. There's the startup weekends, there's Be Launched, there's some of the work that BSU is doing with their startup weekends. And then on the tail end, once you're ready to actually go raise capital, there's some great programs. There's the Wayne Brown Institute that can help you refine your pitching, you're ready for VCs. There's the angel funds that will actually write checks for those companies that are ready. But between it, there's really a big gap for companies. Okay, I've got an idea. Is it a good idea or not? Helping validate that idea all the way. And then, I mean, that's what the first Idea Set Go is about. So Idea Set Go is people that have an idea, not the used to working somewhere else. They want to start testing. Should I pursue this idea? Is there other things out there? Is it really solving a pain point? So giving entrepreneurs tools to validate their idea and refine that idea and then kind of package that idea. Startup now is that, okay, now you have an idea, you want to pursue it, getting you from that point to actually getting that first MVP or minimum viable product or prototype. How do you, in a very cost-effective way, get the information you need to refine that initial product that you want to launch into the market without spending a lot of money? What happens too often today is somebody goes and spends 6 to 12 months and a lot of their personal capital trying to build the first product, and then finding out a year later that that wasn't that good of an idea. That's a lot of treasure wasted. That's a lot of time wasted. Helping train our entrepreneurs on, okay, what's the smallest step you can take, and then learn to inform the next step or to decide whether to keep on going forward. And that's really fundamentally what is a critical missing opportunity in our market is how do you make those steps? What are the kinds of decisions you make? What are the ways that you can test a product or an idea without spending all that money and developing a whole product? I mean, when we did ProClarity, we spent a year and a half building the first product, and then we had to start iterating then. With the tools that are available today and the methodologies, you take a lot of smaller steps and have much higher likelihood of success once you build that product out. And then finally start. That's our kind of our mini accelerator. So now you've got some early traction, you've got some early customers. How do you go to that next phase of starting to scale up your business, scale up your revenue, and get you ready for getting that that kind of more sophisticated investment from an angel or from a VC? So the first Idea Set Go is a 3-part series. It's 3 2-hour sessions, 3 consecutive weeks. We did our first one in February. We were sold out, which is awesome. We had 25 people in. We had 10 we had to turn back. Our next one's going to be in mid-May. And we had a really great feedback from our members. Startup Now, we're doing our first one of those in May, kind of early to mid-May. And that one is an 8-week process, at least 1 meeting a week plus time with an assigned coach or mentor. And then we're going to do our first one this fall, and that'll be probably September, October timeframe. And that'll be a 12-week, again, much more intense series. So each one of these will have smaller, more focused efforts with trying to have a bigger impact on a smaller number of companies. So the funnel is, I've got an idea, go to Idea Set Go. Next step is, okay, do we want to pursue this idea? Go to Startup Now and kind of get to that early MVP or prototype. And then start means, okay, now I really want to launch this thing and start kind of building some real revenue traction and some real early customer wins. So I wanted to highlight that. I think that's really going to be kind of our signature series that we're developing for Trailhead.
What do you charge for the Start series?
That's a good question. So the first one, I believe, for non-members is $99, and for members it's free. We haven't set pricing for the second 2 yet. The second one we're thinking is probably in the range of $500. And the third one is probably going to be more than that. And the way we're structuring it, the second one is if you complete the course, members will get their money back. So we really want to make sure that they come into it committed, because those are scarce slots. We don't want people to drop out halfway through. So we come into it committed to it, and if you make it all the way through, we'll give you your money back as a member. So, and probably do something similar on the start. So again, about $100 for the first one, about $500 for the second, and the third one we haven't figured out pricing for. So finally, giving you guys a lot of information. How do you get involved? So number one, I encourage all of you to sign up for our newsletter. Go to our website, trailheadboise.org, and just get on there, and then you'll get in the loop of what we're doing, what our events are, what our programs are. Come to our events and programs. For those of you that are out of state, if you're planning to come to Boise, come on down and keep track of our calendar, maybe schedule your visits down here around the programs that are interesting to you. If you're here, join as a member. We'd love to have more of you get involved. We have a lot of people that just join in order to kind of be around that energy. So they may have a full-time job, but they want to come down there once in a while to get a different vibe, or they're kind of looking for what's next on their plate. And then if you have skills or expertise that's relevant, volunteer to mentor or teach. I mean, we're always looking for more people to tap into our networks. If you have some skills that might be relevant to our startup community, do that. And then for sure, come visit us. I mean, if you're in town, I'm happy to give any of you guys a tour, walk you through what we're doing, and get involved.
Hey, be a member, free coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you paid what the coffee costs in the market, that alone pays for your membership.
Yeah.
Probably $2 or $3 a day for a pour over, for a cold brew.
Yeah. That's great. Great.
Good job.
Thank you.
No new questions. Raino, fascinating. I was taking notes, and the thing that struck me was that this is it can start the fire, the fever for somebody who's been sitting on an idea for a while, and the expertise is there with alumni to get them to get it going, and then truly a launch pad. Yeah. So great, what a treasure. And I know a lot of other cities around the state are trying to do this or have things already. So thank you so much for spending time with us. And I know that we have a couple of members in commerce. I think that Matt has been involved, so we'll have to look at more membership for us.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. It looks like another question came in.
Did I get the cost at $35 a month to join, correct?
That is correct.
That's very affordable.
Very affordable. Yeah, to give you an idea, I mean, in other markets, Nick Miller, who's on our board from the city, he was at a kind of a similar space in San Francisco, and their membership was like $800.
Oh.
Sure. Yeah.
Whoa. Dang.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
That's big city.
But I mean, so our price per month is less than theirs per day.
You're saying there's going to be a price increase probably for Trailhead at some point.
Yeah.
Great. Well, fabulous content. Great treasure for us. Thank you so much. And if you have any other questions as you go forward, don't hesitate to send those our way. We'll make sure that Raino gets them and
just reach out to us directly at Trailhead, either at info@trailheadboise.org, or I'm at rzoller@trailheadboise.org. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And just a reminder to everybody that we recorded all of our virtual roundtables, but if you're interested in viewing this again or sending it to anyone you know, just reach out to anyone at Commerce, and we'll make sure that you have access.
Yeah. And if any of your kind of incubators or startup hubs want to share best practices, we're always interested in talking to people and kind of helping spread the good.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks. Is it muted? Unmute?